The true soldier fights not because he hates what is in front of him, but because he loves what is behind him. G.K. Chesterton. Valkyria Chronicles is something truly amazing. I cannot even fully express in words how special this game is, but I'll try. First, some backstory. The year is EC 1935, and two powers control the continent. In the east, we have the autocratic Imperial Alliance, and in the west, a number of allied democracies known as the Atlantic Federation. Then, there's Ragnite, the mineral that serves as an oil analog. It powers everything, it's growing scarce, and everyone wants it. Naturally, these two powers go to war, igniting the Second European War. Early efforts show the Imperials coming out on top, and wanting to continue this momentum, they set their eyes on the peaceful, neutral Principality of Gallia, known to have large stores of Ragnite under their soil. And so, our story begins. Welcome to the Gallian border town of Brule, where our story begins. Residents of Brule are evacuating as the threat of war looms on the horizon. Our hero, Welkin Gunther, son of late war hero and tank commander Belgen Gunther, returns home from his university studies of natural science to assist the evacuation of his adopted family, Martha, who is with child, and adopted sister Isara, daughter of Welkin's father's comrade. Arriving just too late, Brule is assaulted by the Empire, and Welkin, initially thought to be an Imperial spy, is caught up in the battle, assisting Brule's town watch, led by one Alicia Melchiat. When Imperial tanks roll in, it's time to leave Brule. Luckily, Welkin and Isara's fathers left them a gift, the very tank that led them to victory in the past, the Edelweiss. After holding off the Imperials long enough for the residents of Brule to evacuate, Welkin, Alicia, Isara, and Martha all managed to escape with the help of the Edelweiss. Heading to the Gallian capital of Randgries to join the militia, Welkin, recognized for his actions in Brule, assumes command of Squad 7, directing the Edelweiss with Isara as his pilot and Alicia as his lieutenant. Valkyria chronicles the militia, Squad 7, and their myriad battles to drive the Empire out of Gallia. The story touches on war and the results of it, death, loss, the end justifying the means. Another major theme you'll run into is prejudice and racism. The ancestors of a dark-haired race known as the Darksons once committed a great crime, nearly wiping out an entire race of people known as the Valkyria. It's not all gloom and doom though, as the members of Squad 7 will experience what it's like to be friends and family, how to overcome one's prejudices, and even fall in love. It's an epic tale that is lovingly spun around the expertly crafted backdrop of Europa, Valkyria Chronicles' fictional Europe analog. The game is not mere historical fiction, however. The fabled Valkyrer and their powers delve into fantasy from time to time, with architecture and character design sporting a hybrid medieval historical balance. Tank radiators are not fueled by petroleum, but instead glow blue with Ragnite, as Lancers fire spear-shaped rocket launchers. This gives Europa both a familiar yet fantastical backdrop for EW2 to play out on. As you progress, you'll open up an extensive glossary to read up on the history of Europa. The story's excellent pacing and Europa's vibrant world is driven by an excellent cast of compelling characters. Welkin is an instantly likable and relatable protagonist with a strong sense of justice and a deep caring for all living things. And his relationship with Alicia isn't the only relationship you'll see budding in the ranks. Rosie, self-proclaimed racist, will butt heads with Isara and other Darksons you'll encounter along the way, while Largo's seemingly unrequited love and scars from the previous European War weigh him down. Each member of the main cast and their struggles are incredibly memorable, and even the enemy generals have endearing moments of character development. Almost every character feels human and has their own desires and flaws. Very few games have a story good enough to bring me to tears, and this game came damn close. Twice. While your main cast of characters is fairly small, you'll need to pick out recruits to fill Squad 7 with, and each one of them has their own backstory, goals, and hope for the future, all of which actually translate into game mechanics, which we'll discuss shortly. You may end up just as attached to these minor characters as you are the major players.
I've only had
Marina Wolfstan
for a day and a half, but if anything happened to her, I would kill everyone in this room and then myself.
Just like with world building, an extensive personnel glossary will open up as your allies perform well in battle and certain prerequisites are met. Of course, while the story, characters, and worlds are remarkable, this is, after all, a video game, and if it's not fun to play, well, one can only get so far. Luckily, that's simply not the case. Valkyria Chronicles is a strategy or tactical role-playing game, also known as an S or a TRPG. When you begin a battle, you'll select your units you'd like to fight in the battle, then look down on the map from a top-down view, not unlike a chessboard. From this bird's eye view, you can survey the battlefield and enemy units, at least from what your allies can see, sometimes resulting in some fog of war type ambushes. Each turn or phase grants you a certain amount of AP, action points, and each one spent allows you to move a single unit and use one of their equipment a single time, whether that's for firing on an enemy, repairing a tank, or healing an allied unit. Once you've determined which unit you want to move, selecting them zooms down to the battlefield where you control them in real time, aiming on targets not unlike a proper third-person shooter. Within that unit's turn, you have a limited amount of movement and can take your action before ending that unit's turn. Units will automatically put out suppressing fire if an enemy unit moves within their range and line of sight, and will automatically return fire on an enemy, if they can. To encourage tactical decisions instead of precise, skillful shooting, aiming down the sight of your gun stops any enemy intercepting fire to grant you as much time as you need to line up your shot. Then, your shots will fall randomly inside the targeting circle, according to your character and weapon's accuracy. While you can use your AP to repeatedly use the same unit, doing so will reduce the maximum amount of movement they can take, and big-ticket ammunition such as sniper shots, rockets, and grenades have a limited number of uses per turn, and will require a phase to pass before being replenished. These restrictions encourage you to fully utilize your squad instead of relying on a single unit to do the work of an army. You'll also need to be careful about abusing your favorite units, as permadeath is a mechanic. Brute force tactics could result in the untimely death of one of your favorite characters. Normal third-person shooter mechanics also come into play, such as headshots doing more damage or utilizing cover to get a defensive boost. As you proceed, you can capture camps to cut off enemy reinforcements and resupply your own. This unique turn-based battle system is called Blitz, short for Battle of Live Tactical Zones, and the back and forth between strategic planning and third-person action keeps gameplay fresh and extremely fun. Oftentimes, it's not possible to rely on a single unit to get the entire job done. Depending on the obstacles and enemy units you're facing, you'll have to skillfully swap between the different classes in a sort of advanced rock-paper-scissors type gameplay. Scouts can move long distances in a single turn, can spot enemies in hiding, and wield mid-range rifles. Shock troopers excel at close-range combat with their machine guns that shred foes up close but are near useless anywhere beyond their effective range. Engineers resupply and heal your units, repair tanks and sandbags, and can disarm mines. Snipers excel at long-range combat, executing units in a single well-placed shot, but are near defenseless, especially at close range. Lancers can destroy tanks and other heavily armored targets and are highly resistant to explosives, but susceptible to bullets. Then, of course, your tanks are nearly indestructible. Anything without a cannon or a rocket launcher will have a hard time scratching their surface, but have a very obvious weak spot on their rears, often a one-shot kill from anything that goes boom. Not only that, but due to a tank's high value and destructive power, they cost twice as much AP to move when compared to any other unit. As expected, your enemies will use the same kind of units, and it's up to you to outwit and outmuscle them in a variety of combat scenarios. These missions can range from eliminating a specific unit, to capturing enemy camps, to safely getting a unit to an extraction point. Each mission will throw various combinations of enemy units in a variety of configurations across wildly varying maps, a dense forest, a Normandy-esque beach assault, to the rubble-piled streets of European cities, to name a few. As I stated briefly, each character has their own strengths and weaknesses, differentiating one unit of the same class from another, and these play out in the form of potentials. Potentials can vary from being a minor effect, such as a character with a pollen allergy sometimes taking slight damage over time when traveling over grassy terrain, to game-changing, such as a sniper gaining 100% accuracy with every shot. These potentials can be triggered whenever the applicable situation arises, such as panicking when being spotted by multiple foes or performing better when farther away from allied units. In addition to potentials, each unit has various relationships among the squad and will lend a hand when firing upon an enemy unit or assist in activating potentials. These little interactions and the occasional mini cutscene and quote characters sometimes get when fragging an enemy add quite a lot of character to each, character. This isn't just a strategy game, however, this is an RPG, and as you complete missions, you will gain experience and money based on how quickly you can complete a mission and how many major enemy units you destroy. In between missions, you can visit headquarters to recruit, train, and equip your squad. Experience points are not earned by individual units, but rather pulled together and then spent at the training field. At the training field, units will be leveled up by class, so all units of that class will receive increased stats and possibly unlock new potentials, all of which are positive, as opposed to the default mix of positive and negative traits. Level up your classes high enough and you may even receive clearance to utilize new powerful weapons such as the grenade launcher and flamethrower, or receive additional orders, temporary buffs you can bestow upon your units in battle in exchange for some AP. Soldiers may win a war, but weapons win the battles. At the R&D facility, money can be used to research upgrades to your weapons, armors, and tanks. Just like the training field, any weapon upgrades will be shared by all units of that class. There's quite a bit of versatility with your weapon and tank builds as you progress. For weaponry, you can generally choose to favor accuracy, power, or an added effect debuff, such as lowering an enemy unit's attack or defense. If you'd like, you can even specify individual units to use different weapons, such as one sniper using the strongest rifle you have while another uses the most accurate one. As for the tanks, besides permanent upgrades, you can also get minor upgrades you can swap out to suit the mission. These upgrades have different sizes and must be placed on a grid, not unlike a block puzzle. Money and experience can also be spent to unlock additional, optional side story missions and unique orders in combat, respectively. These side story missions generally focus primarily on one member of Squad 7, and wonderfully flesh out the characters even further. Story? Check. Characters? Check. Gameplay? Check. Presentation? Damn, this game is gorgeous and has aged extremely well. Utilizing Sega's proprietary canvas engine, Valkyria Chronicles aims to resemble a watercolor painting in motion, utilizing hand-drawn watercolor imagery with blurred outlines, soft edges and hatching, melding 3D graphics and still images to create a world that appears to have come directly from an artist's sketchbook. The edges of the screen emulate a canvas fading away, and the use of onomatopoeia for sound effects really invokes the feeling of art coming off a page or canvas. To accompany this painting comes the musical genius of Hitoshi Sakamoto, renowned composer for a number of Final Fantasy projects such as FF12 and Final Fantasy Tactics, as well as many others. Several tracks were designed to use a full live orchestra performed by the Eminence Symphony Orchestra. Sakimoto designed the music combining the feel of militarism with the motifs of a budding epic romance. I also just want to note that the Japanese voice actress for one of the characters, Rosie, Megumi Toyoguchi, found that the song that her character sings was so beautiful that she was actually moved to tears by the end of her performance. The music is that good. Despite a perfect storm of story, characters, gameplay, and presentation, Valkyria Chronicles did not sell well. Even though it was met with glowing reviews, the climate at the time was just not kind to this one-of-a-kind piece of art. We can only speculate the reasons. Released in 2008 for the PS3 during a time when Call of Duty and Battlefield dominated the casual gaming market, tactical anime RPGs weren't exactly what gamers were looking for. Combine that with its PS3 exclusivity and little to no advertising and fanfare, and Valkyria Chronicles was destined to become a cult classic. It did do well enough to spawn a franchise, however small. 2 and 3 got PSP releases, albeit 3 only in Japan, and then a spin-off, and finally Valkyria Chronicles 4. After that, the first game got a remaster, and that's the ideal way to play VC. Even though the graphics aged very well, the remastered version sharpens an already gorgeous package, includes the DLC that was released for it, and most importantly, provides an opportunity for more people to appreciate and experience this amazing game, having been released on PS4, Switch, and PC. If you've yet to experience this gripping tale of love and war, populated with compelling, dynamic characters, punctuated by exciting strategic battles, all wrapped up in a gorgeous package of art and music, then I implore you, you should be playing Valkyria Chronicles. Huge shout out to Harvest Time and all my patrons. You guys are the best. With your support, I'm motivated to keep on making the best quality videos I can. If you want to see yourself here, help support the channel, and maybe even score some exclusive Cyberphile merch, my Patreon is in the description. Thanks again, everyone. You really are the best. Hey, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more Cyberphile content. And if you liked this video, show me with that little thumbs up button. If you liked this video, you might like one of my other videos. You can click right on the boxes to jump to them. Cyberphile, offline.